you. So I've been talking about, as I mentioned, the seven spiritual laws of success. And I want to remind us again, I reminded us last week of what this idea of success is, because we have to be starting from the same foundation to make these laws and to give us this understanding. And success means the continued expansion of happiness. Think about that. The continued expansion of happiness and the progressive realization of worthy goals. That's the success we're talking about. The continued expansion of happiness in my life and the progressive realization of worthy goals in my life. That's the success we're talking about here. And if you were here last week or a few weeks ago when we did the law of least effort, you know that when we're aligned with these laws, these spiritual laws, that this happens with effortless ease. That's the idea. So many of us struggle. We think, oh, we've got to do this and we've got to do that. But when we align ourselves with this and when we define success as that happiness, the continued expansion of it in our lives, I've been thinking about that recently. Like happiness expanding in my life. Have you been thinking about that? Like, what would I choose if that was my goal? If how I defined success was the continued expansion of happiness? Maybe the same things I'm choosing now, maybe a little bit different. But that's a big deal. And that it would happen when I'm aligned with the universe, when I'm aligned with the divine, when I'm aligned with God, when I understand that the universe is saying yes to whatever I focus my attention and intention on, it happens with effortless ease. I mean, that to me is amazing. I could stop right there and we could meditate on that for like 20 minutes because it's such a powerful thing. It's such a powerful thing. And I mentioned last week that all of these laws come together. We can't just pick and choose the law. Remember last week I said, you don't just pick and choose which traffic laws you obey. Like you have to obey them all, really. You say, well, I'm not going to do the stop signs. I'm just not going to do that piece. Like, it doesn't work, right? We've got to do them all to be out there and to understand that it's going to work. And it's the same thing with spiritual laws. We can't just pick and choose the ones we want or the ones that we think are easy for us. So here, I want to share you the affirmations that we've got through so far. The first week we said, today I will judge nothing as it occurs. How's that going for you? Today I will judge nothing as it occurs. There's plenty out there that we place our judgment on. But if we are to align ourselves with these spiritual laws, the thing we have to do is decide not to judge things as they occur. The second one is, today I will give a gift to everyone I encounter. Today I will give a gift to everyone I encounter. We said that gift doesn't have to be, you think, oh, I don't have money to give. Well, money is not the only gift you can give. A smile can change someone's life. Yesterday, there were a couple of our kids here who would dance and listen to Michael play music. Oh my gosh, they were giving a gift to everybody who was there, and they were gifting themselves in the same moment. Dancing in the dirt and having fun, and competing with Rachel to see how dirty their feet could actually get. Brooke said she was going to send me a picture of Aubrey's bathwater, but I didn't see it. So I'm kind of glad about that. Give a gift to everybody I encounter. Children do it automatically, by the way. Children do it automatically. We have to remind ourselves. The third week we said, today I will decide to keep my heart open. There is nothing in the universe that we should be willing to close our heart over. Nothing that happens should force us, or that we should think that that's what I'll close my heart about. No, there should be nothing. And when I keep my heart open, it makes all the difference in the world. Today I will decide to keep my heart open. In week 4, we said, today I will accept people, situations, circumstances, and events as they occur. Whew, it sounds a lot like that judge one, right? Today I will accept. It means that I will be without it, be with it, and be with it with an open heart. Because if I fight against what is in front of me, I'm actually fighting against the entire universe. The universe has conspired, and this is what's in front of me. And if I resist and fight against it, I'm fighting against the whole universe. If I accept it, opportunities open up that I would not have been able to understand. Last week we said, today I will set my intention, but focus my attention I will set my intention, but I will focus my attention in the moment. Because it is in this moment where the future is created. It's not created in the past, and it's not created in the future. It's created right here, right now. And that's how far we've gotten with our 7 spiritual laws of success. Well, today I want to explore the law of detachment. And I want to start off by reading a story that is that illustrates this law very well. So let me read this for you. One day in late summer, an old farmer was working in his field with his old sick horse. The farmer felt compassion for the horse and desired to lift its burden. So he left his horse loose to go up the mountain and live out the rest of its life. Soon after, the neighbors from the nearby village visited, offering their condolences, saying, "What a shame! Now your only horse is gone. How unfortunate you are. You must be very sad. How will you live and work the land and prosper?" And the farmer replied, "Who knows? We shall see." 2 days later, the old horse came back, now rejuvenated after meandering in the mountainsides while eating wild grasses. He came back with 12 new, younger, healthy horses, which followed the old horse into the corral. Word got out in the village about the old farmer's good fortune, and it wasn't long before people stopped by to congratulate the farmer on his good luck. "How fortunate you are," they exclaimed. "You must be very happy." Again the farmer softly said, "Who knows? We shall see." At daybreak the next morning, the farmer's only son set off to attempt to train the new wild horses. But the farmer's son was thrown to the ground and he broke his leg. One by one, the villagers arrived during the day to bemoan the farmer's latest misfortune. "Oh, what a tragedy," they said. "Your son won't be able to work. He won't be able to help you in the field with a broken leg. You'll have to do all the work yourself. How will you survive? You must be very sad," they said. Calmly going about his usual business, the farmer answered, "Who knows? We shall see." Several days later, a war broke out. The emperor's men arrived in the village demanding that young men come with them to be conscripted into the emperor's army. As it happened, the farmer's son was deemed unfit because of his broken leg. "What very good fortune you have," the villagers exclaimed as their own young sons were marched away. "You must be very happy." "Who knows?" he said. "We shall see," as he headed off to work in his fields. As time went on, the broken leg healed, but the son was left with a slight limp. Again, the neighbors came to pay their condolences. "Oh, what bad luck! Too bad for you." But the old farmer simply replied, "Who knows? We'll see," right? As it turned out, the other young village boys had died in the war, and the old farmer and his son were the only able-bodied men capable of working the village lands. The old farmer became wealthy and was very generous to the villagers. They said, "Oh, how fortunate you are. You must be very happy," to which the old farmer replied, "Who knows? We shall see." This is the perfect example, in my opinion, of the law of detachment. Let me read to you what that law is. The law of detachment says that in order to acquire anything in the universe, in the physical universe, you have to relinquish your attachment to it. This doesn't mean that you give up the intention to create your desire. You don't give up the intention and you don't give up the desire. You simply give up your attachment to the result. I think that's what the farmer did. It's almost counterintuitive. It's the great spiritual paradox. The great spiritual work that we do is often a paradox. Like, how is that going to happen? If I have this intention and desire and you're telling me, give up the attachment to the outcome, how does that work? Well, you know, we live in this intelligent universe. Last week I told you about these juniper seeds and that the intelligence to make this into exactly a juniper living in the Southwest, because that's where I gathered these seeds, is complete right in here. It's complete. The intelligence is complete right here. There is nothing needed except nurturing, right? Water, nutrients. But the intelligence to be what is to be is right here, and it's the same for us. That the power in detachment is to leave it up to the universe. Yes, to have that desire, but to not be so attached to the outcome that we don't allow another possibility to come into our view. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's being open. It's unhooking ourselves from the limitation. You know, even our intention and desire is a limitation. If that's the only thing that we can see, don't you think it limits us from seeing something else? It has to. But as I mentioned, our children don't have that kind of limitation, do they? They have the freedom to create whatever they want to create in their minds. You know this. You know this from your children. You know this from your grandchildren. They aren't limited. We don't start off. We didn't start off that way. Us adults that feel limited now in what we can do because of our age, because of our education, because of where we live, because of who we know, because of what we want to proceed and do. We've limited ourselves, but children don't feel that way, do they? They are unlimited in what they can believe. They are unlimited. It reminds me of that story, and you'll remember this from Alice in Wonderland, when Alice is talking to the Queen, and the Queen's about to tell Alice how old she is. And the Queen says, I am just 101, 5 months and a day. And Alice says, I can't believe that. And the Queen says, can't you? Try again. Draw in a long breath and shut your eyes. And Alice laughed and she said, there's no use trying. One can't believe impossible things. I dare say you haven't had much practice, the Queen said. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Yeah, but we don't believe in the impossible. Living unattached takes practice, you see. Because we have been practicing the other way, it takes some courage to live unattached to a particular outcome. All the while, having desire and intention at the same time. Expecting good at the same time. Let me read you this. Attachment is based on fear and insecurity. Attachment comes from lack consciousness, because attachment is always to symbols. What are the symbols we get attached to? The next new car, the next new piece of electronic equipment, a new house, new clothes, an amazing vacation, a person in our life. We get so attached to them. And guess what? All of those things can change at any time. All those things. So we get attached to symbols. And that's why it's based on fear, because we're afraid of losing that once we have it. We get so attached to it. Detachment is synonymous with wealth consciousness, because with detachment, we are free to create. We have the freedom to create, we have the freedom to dream, we have the freedom to believe in the impossible, if we are simply detached from a particular outcome. Only from detached involvement can one have joy and laughter. Then the symbols of wealth are created spontaneously and effortlessly. See, here's the key. It's this joy thing. It's living in the moment. Just like the farmer did. I mean, who are we? Are we the townspeople or are we the farmer? Are we the ones that are swaying in the breeze with everything that happens, judging it as good or bad? Or are we the farmer who says, you know what? We'll see. We'll see. Keep my heart. We'll see what happens with this. We'll see. I don't know. I'm giving it up. I'm letting it be. I'm not judging it. I like to think I'm the farmer, but I'm not always. In detachment lies the wisdom of uncertainty. The wisdom of uncertainty. In the wisdom of uncertainty lies the freedom from our past, from the known, because that's what we know, what's happened today, which is the prison of past conditioning. Deepak's calling it a prison. If we only rely on what we know, then what possibilities can we create? In our willingness to step into the unknown, in the field of all possibility, we surrender ourselves to the creative mind that orchestrates the dance of the universe, that orchestrates the dance of the universe, if we free ourselves from that. That's the greatest freedom, the freedom of uncertainty. You know what? We live in uncertainty, folks. Name one thing that is certain in your life that has no possibility of changing, ever. Nothing. Yeah, all right, the old death and taxes. Okay, thanks, Sean. Yeah. But what else? What else is certain? The things that we rely on every day. What is certain the next day? You say, well, it's certain that the sun will come up tomorrow. Well, if you're here to see it, it might be coming up. I mean, there's so much. We live in uncertainty. We've got to learn to love uncertainty and be okay with it. It's what is. There is nothing that is certain. Nothing. Except maybe death. But in a spiritual sense, I would say, my belief is, I never die. That the energy and the vibration that we are is eternal. No beginning, no end. Yeah, I'm giving up this body. I call it the earth suit, right? We're giving up these earth suits. This is what's not going to be here, but the essence of us is eternal. It's eternal. No beginning, no end. So what is certainty? So these laws work, but I'll tell you, they work to the level that, and our ability to let them work in our lives. Let me read one more thing. Uncertainty, here's what Deepak says, uncertainty is the fertile ground of pure creativity and freedom. What if you believe that? What if you believe that every time you felt uncertain, it was actually the field of pure creativity and freedom? That's where it was starting, right there in your uncertainty. Uncertainty means stepping into the unknown in every moment of our existence, which is the field of all possibilities, ever fresh, ever new, always open to create and manifest. Without uncertainty, listen to this, and the unknown, life is just the stale repetition of outworn memories. Ooh. Without uncertainty, it's just what we already know. You become the victim of the past, and your tormentor today is yourself left over from yesterday. When you experience uncertainty, I want you to hear this. When you experience uncertainty, you are on the right path. Are you experiencing uncertainty in your life right now? Let me tell you, you are on the right path. How does that feel? Like, I'm on the right path. So don't give up. You don't need to have a complete and rigid idea of what you'll be doing next week or next year, because if you have a very clear idea of what's going to happen and you get rigidly attached to it, you shut out the rest of the range of possibilities in your life. That's what happens. Now let me tell you a story about me. So back in 2011, I was at the White Stone ceremony. Those of you who might have been here at the beginning of the year, where you write your new name on your clean slate. And I came home from that White Stone ceremony at Unity, and I came home and I said to Renee, guess what? We're moving to Unity Village, and I'm going to be a Unity minister. Well, it scared Renee. Moving to Kansas City, but being the love of my life that she is, she said, okay, all right. In that part of that year, in 2011, I was also dealing with a diagnosis of Graves' disease. I had an overactive thyroid and I wasn't well. And one of my good friends, Eileen Argenbright, says, you need to go see this healer that's coming to town. And I was thinking to myself, healer, schmealer. Really? I mean, this is what I'm going to do. I was like, So this is one of those things. Something comes into your life and you're like, 3 times, my precious dear friend Eileen said, you need to go see this healer. She's going to be down at Carolina Beach and you need to go see this healer. On the 3rd time I said, yes, I will go see her. My birthday was in March. I said, that'll be my birthday present to myself. And I went to see this healer. She's from Russia. Her name's Valentina. Some of you might have had experience with Valentina. I didn't know Valentina, never met her, hadn't been to a workshop that she'd done, nothing. So I tripped on down to Carolina Beach. She was in a condo down there, and I went in and got on the table. And I had thought of all these questions that I wanted to clarify, her to clarify for me about my thyroid, because that's why I was going. That's what I wanted to know. So I lay down on the table, and Valentina comes in, and she begins to do her energy work on me. And the only question that came to my mind is this one. Am I on the right path? Really, Paula, that's what you're saying? You came here for your thyroid, and the first thing you say is, am I on the right path? And Valentina paused for a moment. Like I said, never met her before in my life. She didn't know anything about me. She didn't know I was involved in Unity at all. She just didn't know me at all. And she said, after a long pause, she said, if you go there, they're going to put you in a box. And if you go to another church, they're going to kick you out because they're not ready to hear what you have to say. You need to stop doing and start being who you already are. It's like, oh man. I was laying there and I thought, and I started chuckling and I said, you know what, Valentina, you're right. And she said, of course I'm right. And we both started laughing. And I run home after that and I say, Renee, we're not going to Kansas City. We're not going. I pulled my application out of Kansas City. I decided, no, I'm not going there. That's not the right choice for me right now. And I changed my direction. Well, fast forward, but this urging in me to become part of a spiritual community was very strong. And eventually, a couple years later, I took over a church in Durham, North Carolina. And I was there for a year, and it was my first church, and I was very excited to be there. But I had learned after I was there about 6 months that this was not really a community that was going to survive. The energy there was not such that that was going to happen. So I ended up helping them close down the church. I helped them close a Unity Center. So that was my first foray out into ministry, was to do that. So I come back home, not sure what I want to do. I had lunch with one of my mentors, and she mentioned the University of Metaphysics. I said, oh, that sounds interesting. Fast forward, I got my ordination and my degree with the University of Metaphysics. And then I started wondering, well, what am I going to do now? That urge was still there. I applied to other churches. I met someone in Charleston, and we talked about forming a center together. And finally, Renee and I are talking, and we said, why are we trying to make this happen somewhere else? What about if we just do it right here in Wilmington, North Carolina? And this is the result of that. As we sit together, this is the result of that. Here's the thing about living in uncertainty. It's not asking the question, why? Why did this happen? You know, why did I go up here and the church failed? Why did I think I needed to go here and I needed to go there? Why? It's, how do I move from here? How do I get myself to the next place? What's the next possibility? It's not why. We will never know why. We need to cross that off as a question. The why is never answered to our liking anyway, no matter what it is. It's never answered. It's never. The question is, how do I move forward from here? How do I move forward from here? That's what it's about. It's not about why, it's about how. Because I could have really crafted a really difficult story from all those experiences. But how can I go forward from here? Or how can we move forward together from here? So how do we do that? Well, the first thing is we can't judge ourselves. We can't call it good when we think it's good and bad when it's bad, just like the farmer. Are we the farmer or are we the neighbors? Is to not judge it. And not get so concrete in the timetable of when it has to happen. We get that too. Well, it has to happen. And you know what? This is going to happen in right time. And anything that we desire with our intention and our attention will happen in right time. So let's release that too. Let's release our attachment to the timetable of what it has to be. Like, what's time? We can't force solutions. Don't try to force solutions. There was a time during my unfolding in that story that I was maybe trying to force something to happen. But what good is that? It didn't happen. Well, I think I'm going to Florida. for a church down there. Well, that didn't happen. But not to be attached to it. Don't try to force solutions. We need to learn to love uncertainty, to be okay with it, to be perfectly happy and forward-looking in it, to realize that there's the law, and then there's mystery and adventure and possibility that are all mixed in there with it. There's things we don't know, that we're not aware of. All these things happening because we don't exist separate from anything else. We are all vibrating together, here and now. And I think, and I believe, and I agree with Deepak, that when we are willing to live in that wisdom of uncertainty, we will feel a freedom that we cannot feel when we relegate our future to only one thing. So our affirmation today is, today I stand in the wisdom of uncertainty. I trust God. I trust the divine. I trust the universe to provide. Today I stand in the wisdom of uncertainty, and I trust the wisdom in that. So let's take those thoughts into meditation today. We'll spend about 10 minutes just being with that, just finding it in our own heart to trust this living in uncertainty where we find ourselves right now, in the wisdom of it. The wisdom says all things are possible. The possibilities are limitless and unlimited. We breathe into this moment, breathe in and breathe out, and feel what it feels like to be detached from a specific outcome and to rest in the wisdom of uncertainty. Children can easily open the drawer that lets the spirit rise up and wear its favorite costume of mirth and laughter. When the mind is consumed with remembrance of God, something divine happens to the heart that shapes the hand and tongue and eye into the word love.